Okay. Do we get to this? I believe we got to this. Awesome. So as we go, if I remember the story, I should have written it down. Okay. There we go. Okay. So regarding civil trials, that was kind of like this, the basic run-of-the-mill court cases you are allowed a jury. Regarding the Eighth Amendment, punishment for crime. So we had started to talk about excessive bail, excessive fines, no. Right? So the example we were bringing, I brought up, and again, I'm just going back for a quick second here. If I'm arrested for shoplifting, bail of $1 million might be a bit much. Right? Now, if I am doing grand theft auto and I just stole myself a Ferrari, maybe $1 million could apply depending on the amount of the vehicle, right?
What if you returned it?
I actually have a funny story about that one too. My uncle, he has since passed away. I didn't laugh at that part. I was laughing at something else he did. Sorry. Kind of came out in the wrong order. So my uncle Phil went to a dealership, it would have been back in like 2000, 2001-ish, and went for a test drive. And in the paperwork, never said how long the test drive would be or where he could go. So he took the test drive from Parma, Ohio, and when the police finally found him, because there was a warrant out for his arrest for theft, he had driven to Texas. So they arrested him in Texas, flew him back to Parma. I think he served a month or something in jail, and had to pay like for the vehicle usage or whatever. But yeah, he took a test drive. Now, with regard to returning the vehicle, if I broke in outside of business hours, there's ways of going down that road. But so again, it has to fit the crime, right? So stealing a candy bar is not going to be $1,000 fine. It'll probably be like a $25 or $30 fine and maybe a couple of hours of service if they really wanted to even follow through with it. I'm trying to think. When I was in high school, what did I do? I do remember getting in trouble, and I had to serve. I think it was like 40 hours of service hours at the baseball field in Broadview Heights. Hey, I don't remember what I did. Oh, I do remember. Stupid. Really wasn't even that big of a deal. I put potatoes in the back of people's tailpipes. And then I took like the wood fences that you guys, like the 2 posts, and I took the middle part out and put them in the middle of the road as like speed bumps. Yeah, so.
You can close the road, like put road close signs and kick off the same thing?
Might. So I don't know, I think someone gave me one of my friends. No, honestly, I didn't remember. I do remember it was Broadview Heights, and that was the only thing I could think of that I did in Broadview Heights. So.
What else did you do outside of Broadview Heights?
Actually nothing. That was really it. That was like the one night my buddies and I were over at his house. It was Josh's house. And we were bored. That was it. That was all it was. We were like, all right, we're done. What do we want to do? I don't know. Let's go like walk the neighborhood. And while we were out, took off the fence posts, and then one of my buddies had a backpack with potatoes in it. So I was like, oh, this is playing. Because he was planning on doing this the whole time. I didn't know. I just helped. Okay, so the cruel and unusual punishment. So there was one that happened in Ohio. Did I tell you guys about the fat guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so the fat guy with the injection, and he said, I'm too fat, it's cruel and unusual. Governor DeWine was like, too bad, suck it up. You're literally going to die. The medicine, that was the other one. Did I tell you about the medicine? Okay, it was bad. And they felt, for those who had left early, the medicine that they switched over to put you to sleep, but you felt the other drug kill you. So you could feel the heart stop. You had all the sensations, but you couldn't wake up and say anything. So you were basically screaming in your own head the whole time you were being killed by that second medicine. So they switched over to a different medicine now that puts you to sleep and desensitizes you.
How did they figure that out if they can't?
They have the monitors up. So when they put the first medicine in, everything dulls down, right? But they notice that the monitors on the brain still remained relatively active. Typically, it kind of slows down to a small little. But then the moment they pushed in the other medicine, the sensors on the brain started like going like crazy. But they couldn't stop it because that was the drug that was going to kill you. So they had to like let it finish its job. So they realized that the brain was going active, and when they did more research, they found out that the drug desensitizes, like your body shuts down, but your awareness stays with you. As the more research they found out about the drug. So they don't use that one anymore.
Did it take like a while or was it like the first?
No, the second drug takes about a minute or two to finalize everything, but for the minute or two, you felt the entire, like you felt the heart die, you felt the muscles cramping out.
Yeah, but like, did they like find out like the first time that they used that one that like it wasn't good?
Yeah, so it was within the first or second person that they were like, okay, we got it. Switch over. All right. Other punishments too that I came across and I found that are still allowed in the U.S. Some states still have them. Lethal injection is the one we just talked about. That's the most common. Electrocution. So there are still states that have the lightning chair. Gas chamber still exists as well. Firing squad. Last time it was used in 2010. So you can choose for a firing squad in that state. I have to look at see what state it was. And they still have hanging as well, some states.
Is it like public or what?
No, it will be in the prison. So outside of the view of everyone else. The firing squad, the way they have that set up is the person would be against the wall, and then everyone is given a rifle on the firing squad. But only one person is given the actual bullet, everyone else is given a blank.
I thought it was the opposite way around. One person was given a blank, the other one was given bullets. Back in the old days, I thought that was.
Man. I thought they have better shots now. So, I can go back and look, but that's the way I remember. But it could be
So
right.
if you don't die,
If you don't die, now we have an issue.
then you get shot again.
You gotta do it again. Same thing with the electric chair. If you guys have seen the Green Mile, in there, it doesn't work, and they have to like, no, so they gotta keep going. Yeah.
Why would they even have more than one person for the firing squad? Like,
So that the people doing the firing squad wouldn't have the guilt of knowing that they were the one that killed this guy.
oh,
Yeah. It's more of a psychological thing for the shooters, not the person being shot. Unless, of course, you were a person that was like, this guy deserves this, give me the bullet. I'll do it.
Wait, are they just picking random people off the street?
No. They would bring in trained, like people from SWAT or something like that. The problem with hanging, too, for those who aren't aware, if it doesn't work right away, doesn't snap your neck, then you basically choke to death the whole time you're hanging there. Because it's supposed to, for those who aren't aware, the knot in the back, the way it's set up is when you fall and it pulls, it's supposed to break your neck right away, and then you die. But if you don't, then you just dangle and choke to death.
Sounded like
It sounds a little bit cruel, sounds a little bit unusual.
Yeah.
The other thing too, this was actually, I think we had the guillotine, but it was not used anywhere near as much as they did in France during the whole French Revolution. The fun story, I should say fun, it's a unique story about the guillotine. One, Sir Guillotine was killed by the guillotine. So he was killed in the French Revolution. He helped invent it, and then because he was part of the bourgeois, he was one of the people killed by it. Another person, I'm not sure exactly who it was, but I do remember reading the story that it was a scientist and he wanted to have some sort of scientific results from his death. So he had his assistant go to the basket and say, count how many times I blink while my head's in the basket. And I think the assistant counted 13 blinks before the brain stopped acting or working, which means the brain is still functioning while, I think they said about 10 to 15 seconds after the head is gone is when you actually die mentally.
Means that can't you feel that?
You may not feel it, but you would see your body. Which then brings up stories of people I've heard of, like famous people that were decapitated. Like they had to, once it happened, they were like, oh, that's not good. And then and see.
You ever heard of the chicken that lived for years?
Yes, they would feed it through the tube, it had no brain, it was cut right above the brain stem. So the base operations of the chicken stayed alive, but it had no eyes, no ears. They would put chicken feet in the throat where the food would go down, and it survived for a couple years or years. Regarding death penalty, these are the states right here in green that does currently still have the death penalty. The 28 of the 25 still have it, and 22 do not allow death penalty, and they are in the dark. What's that?
Illinois doesn't have it.
Mhm.
In Michigan.
Michigan does not. That actually goes back to the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, when he was extradited back to Ohio. That was one of the big reasons, was they did not have the death penalty. They don't have that. So. All right. Number 9, kind of an anticlimactic amendment, although it's really important in an interesting way. What they're basically saying in here is just because it's not written in the Constitution doesn't mean you still don't get those protections. It's kind of a vague, open-ended kind of coverall. Again, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed or misrepresented to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So probably the best example I can think of happening right now in our lifetimes is the LGBTQ community. Right? There's nothing in the Constitution regarding that group of people. That does not mean they're denied the right to vote. They're not denied the right to due process. They're not denied just because they're not written in specifically in the Constitution doesn't mean I can deny or disparage them. That's kind of where number 9 comes in. It's, again, it's kind of like a coverall. Number 10, this is the big one that many conservatives look at this one in a sense to argue states' rights. The 2 big ones that you are going to hear about that deal with this one specifically are Roe v. Wade, and this one's going to be a fun one. I don't want to butcher this. Obergefell v. Ohio. Sorry, you don't spell it right, that's fine, because I think I just misspelled it. But this is the case regarding abortion rights throughout the country. And this one is the case dealing with marriage for gay couples throughout the country. Now, the reason that the 10th Amendment applies directly to these is I'm trying to think of in the courts, in the Supreme Court, the dissents, the people that did not win the numbers, apparently, both times said these things are not denied to people. However, that's reserved to the states to deal with that. So your license, when you get your driver's license, that is a state ID. Now, all the other states recognize that ID. So if I go to Florida and I pull out my Ohio driver's license, they'll go, oh, you're from Ohio, but that's okay, you're fine. Now, that's changed a little bit. Has anybody noticed the new license? The star on it? Yep. Well, there's one, I have to laugh because I'm not sure why it took us so long to figure this out. Under 21, what directions does yours go? Up and down, sideways, right? And then over 21, it's horizontal. Right? So this is over 21. Under 21, your guys go like this. For years, to catch underage drinkers, they were like, well, we have a pink background. And then we have a different colored background. So that way we know right away. It was like, well, just turn it this way. Somebody at the meeting had to have been like, you guys are idiots. Why don't you just turn it this way? So yeah, this is the new one, and you'll see up here it has the Ohio, and on the back it has the Ohio flag. All right, so if I get a Florida license, it would look almost identical now, with the Florida in the top right corner and the Floridian flag in the back. All right, but they did that in an effort to deal with terrorist activities from 9/11. So this is actually a result of 9/11. 2001 is now affecting you guys in 2020. The other thing is that star in the top left corner. If you don't have that star, you need to bring other confirmations of who you are for flights. If you have the star, they will accept it across the United States as a legitimate. You would have the full background check. Like, for me to get this one, it took 2 weeks. They had to do a background check and send me all the information and send me this. If you don't, you can get a license right away, but you have to go you have to bring a passport and some other identification to get a flight. Right, so a lot of that has to do with that. But these are still state issued. So Ohio can adjust little things here and there. But that's a reserved power. There are voting laws, marriage laws. There's one. Marriage in some states, I believe Massachusetts was the youngest, was 12. They have different various ages by law, but that's a state issue. It's reserved. There's no federal number to get married. The states decide that. So when we're talking about Roe v. Wade, this whole case started in Texas. Roe was under the age of 18. She wanted to have an abortion. She already had 2 kids. State of Texas had different laws that were more strict. She could have gotten an abortion had she gone over to Louisiana, or if she went to Arizona or Utah. Or Oklahoma, but she was in state of Texas, and Texas had, you had to have a doctor's permission, there had to be medical reasons. So she wasn't denied an abortion, it was just that she had to get more, it was more strict to get the abortion. And that was the argument against allowing it to be a nationwide thing, was, hey, if Ohio has its laws, then let Ohio deal with it. Ohio's ways. Who in here has heard of the heartbeat law in some of the different states? Okay. I know that they came across Governor DeWine's desk a while back. I don't think he signed it. I know South Carolina signed it. North Carolina signed it. There was another state, I can't remember which one it was. But the idea with that one is in the state, and they're banking on the 10th Amendment for this one. If there's a heartbeat, you cannot have an abortion. So those states, and there's a couple other ones I have to go back and check, are kind of fighting this and saying, hey, this is reserved to us. This is our law. Roe v. Wade kind of fights that. This is back in the 70s. Obergefell v. Ohio, this actually was an Ohio couple. They went to, I think it was Massachusetts or Connecticut, got married, gay couple, legalized in that state, came back to Ohio, tried to file for benefits, and they said, well, we don't recognize gay marriage in Ohio, so no, you don't get these different things. So they took it to court, and there's a reason behind it. It's actually Article 5 of the Constitution, something called full faith and credit. So remember the license thing I mentioned? If I'm driving in Florida with my Ohio license, they'll accept my Ohio license. So what Obergefell argued was, well, if I'm married in Connecticut, how can you not accept that in Ohio? Shouldn't that license be accepted full faith and credit across the borders? So you can hear arguments from both, but the big argument is this is reserved to the states. If the federal government does not have that power given to them, it should be reserved to the states. Like hunting laws, who here's a hunter? In Pennsylvania, you have hunting license. You have to get a certain license to hunt. There's fishing license. We have different ages. We used to have cigarettes was 18 and over. Now it's 21 and older. So Ohio just changed that. Yeah.
Is it just, I know some states don't have to follow that. Is it just up to states?
For which part?
I know some states still sell to 18 in some states.
Yeah, correct. It's only in Ohio. Yeah, so in Ohio, it's only 21 and older. Actually, as I'm saying that now, wasn't it Cuyahoga County that did that? I think Cleveland did it first. Like Cleveland changed the law in Cleveland. Then I think it went to Cuyahoga County. I'm not sure if it's a statewide thing as I'm talking about it right now.
I think it is.
If it is in Ohio, if I go to Pennsylvania now, I don't know, whatever their laws are. You guys know the smoking ban we have in Ohio, right? If I go to Pennsylvania, like you guys have lived in it, so you don't even recognize it. So since 2007, you are not allowed to smoke in public locations, like restaurants used to have smoking, not smoking. That's gone. You can't do that. If you're at the convention center downtown Cleveland, no smoking. If you're in certain buildings, no smoking. It's just very common for all of us. This is what we've lived in. I had a group of kids I was coaching. We went to Pennsylvania, like maybe a year or two after this law went in Passing, Ohio. And we were in Pittsburgh. And we walked into a location. All the kids were like, "Oh my gosh, it's so smoky. Isn't it illegal?" And I was like, "In Ohio, but not in Pennsylvania." So the laws can be different depending on the state you live in. All right. 11th Amendment, not horribly exciting, honestly. I can't sue another state. So if something happened and I was upset with Pennsylvania, I can't sue them. I can sue Ohio, or I can sue the Ohio Attorney General, but I can't sue the state itself. Yeah.
So going back to like the 21, let's say you have an Ohio license and try to go to Pennsylvania. Like, does the license like matter? Because you got in Ohio and just your age.
Just your age. Yeah. So the license, as long as I'm following their laws, I'm fine. I think of other situations I've heard of. I know like there's a difference in regards to the state. Like Ohio controls all the liquor sales. Pennsylvania has a different variation on their laws for liquor sales. So if you go to an Ohio location to buy liquor, they have to have a certain license and certain things, whereas Pennsylvania it's a little bit less strict. Yeah, as long as if it's 18 and older in Pennsylvania and I'm in Pennsylvania. Now, here's the other thing. No, if I go over there and I get to smoke, when I smoke over there, it's fine. If I bring the cigarettes back into Ohio, it's illegal in Ohio. Even though you bought them legally over in Pennsylvania, you can't bring them back across the border. Same thing happened when weed was legalized in Colorado. Everyone was like, yes. People were driving to Colorado, flying to Colorado, buying weed, and then coming back to Ohio. It's still illegal in Ohio. Right? So you have to, it depends on the state, yeah.
I thought it was illegal to purchase, but it was illegal to consume. Like if you were to get it given to you as a gift, therefore it was you did not purchase it.
Are you talking about the weed?
Cigarettes?
Cigarette.
I thought if you were 19, you go to Pennsylvania, get cigarettes, come back to Ohio, you won't be.
Okay.
That was my business.
Oh, it might be. I may have to go back. I'll go back and look just to check. Yeah. All right. Letter B on this one. France can't sue Ohio. Germany can't sue Ohio. If they're going to sue somebody, they're going to sue the United States of America. They can't come after a state. This one right here, Chisholm v. Georgia, the original case, again, not horribly exciting. He owned a boat. He wasn't from Georgia. Georgia gave special preferences to people with ferry boats, ferry stuff across the river. He started doing the same thing, and Georgia said, no, that's illegal. You can't do that. He was like, you can't stop me from doing this. So he sued Georgia, but he was from Mississippi. And so that went to court. And in the end, the federal government, the Supreme Court said, if he wants to sue Mississippi, he can sue Mississippi, but he can't sue Georgia. Can't sue another state. So again, not horribly exciting. 12th Amendment, however, we get into a little bit, right? The election of the president and the vice president. So the old way, and I'm going to show you guys a video here in a second, used to be, let's say that Paul and I were running together, and Xander and Spencer were running together. Xander was going for president, Spencer was going for vice president, Paul was going for president, I was going for vice president. The way that it used to work was whoever got the most popular vote would win the presidency. So even though Spencer may have been running for vice president, he got more votes than you. So he's now in the lead. And I got more votes than Paul. So now it's a runoff between us two. And whoever gets the most votes of the two guys running for vice president, running for vice president, we potentially could be president and vice president from two different parties too. That's the other thing too. So you got a Republican and a Democrat. Democrat, Republican. So it was really, really awkward. And this all happened in the election of 1800. And it was actually based, part of the ending of Hamilton's whole life was based off of this. So this is Yes. Nope. Oh, gosh.
Then we get back to politics. Please, yo.
Come on.
Every action has its equal.
Yes. What is going on? Come on. What is going on?
I think we have the bigger mode.
There it goes.
Election of 1800.
There we go.
Then we get back to politics. Please, yo. Every action has its equal opposite reaction. John Adams, Shaq love the guy, but he's in traction. Or Alexander Hamilton, he is missing in action. So now I'm facing Aaron Burr with his own faction.
Very attractive in the North.
For those who don't know, this is Jefferson, and this is Madison.
Yorkers like his chances.
He's not very forthcoming on any particular stances.
Ask him a question that glances off the obfuscates he dances.
And they say I'm a francophile, at least they know I know where France is.
Thomas, that's the problem. See, they see Burr as the less extreme one. You need to change course. A key endorsement might redeem you.
Who did you have in mind?
Don't laugh.
Who is it?
You used to work on the same staff. It might be nice. Might be nice to get Hamilton on your side.
It might be nice. It might be nice to get Hamilton on your side. Oh, yeah. Smile more. Don't let them know what's on.
This is Aaron Burr right here.
It's 1800, ladies, tell your husband, vote cover! I don't like Adam.
Well, he's gotta lose. That's just ridiculous.
And Jefferson, in love with France.
Yeah, it's so please. I like that Aaron Burr. I can't believe we're here with him.
He seems approachable, like you could grab a beer with him.
Dear Mr. Hamilton, your fellow Federalists would like to know how you'll be voting.
It's quiet up.
Dear Mr. Hamilton, John Adams does the same in chance of great promoting.
It's quiet up.
Jackson over, we know it's citizen. Over, but if you had to choose, dear Mr. Hamilton, John Adams does the same in chance of great promoting. If you had to choose.
It is son.
Alexander.
Created quite a stir, son.
Going door to door.
Openly campaigning.
Sure.
What's new?
Honestly, it's kind of trendy. Sir.
Is there anything you wouldn't do?
No, I'm chasing what I want. You know what? I learned that from you.
It's a time.
If you had to, you had to.
It's up to the delegate.
If you had to, you had to.
It's up to Hamilton.
If you had to, you had to.
People are asking to hear my voice. The country is facing a new choice. People are asking why promote. Jefferson has my vote. I never agreed with Jefferson once. Otherwise, I would be minded in front. But when all is said and all is done, Jefferson has beliefs. Burr has none.
Well, I'll be damned. Well, I'll be damned.
Hamilton's on your side.
Well, I'll be damned. Well, I'll be damned. And I did give you a fight.
I look forward to our partnership.
Our partnership.
As your vice president.
Yeah, right. You hear this guy? Man openly campaigns against me, talking about I look forward to our partnership.
It is crazy that the guy who comes in second gets to be vice president.
You know what? We can change.